I'm Darren.
And I'm Doogie.
And we're taking a look through the real sequels. The Star Wars series that happens after Episode 6 in the books and novels, and sometimes comics.
Yes, we'll be starting with the THRAWN trilogy, which is the first set of expanded universe novels that was released.
How's it going, guys? We're looking today at Chapter 4 of Heir To The Empire.
Indeed. So we're going back to Thrawn and Pelion in this chapter. Pelion has got some ysalamiri and he's been travelling to the planet Wayland. So the chapter opens with Thrawn, Pelion and Rook heading down to the planet in a shuttle. And they've got with them these like lightweight frames with the ysalamiri sort of attached onto them. And they're carrying them away like backpacks. And the whole time, Pelion is kind of wondering, like, is this safe? We're going into a planet and it's just the three of us, and Thrawn's like fine with it. He doesn't care. He's confident in his plan, and he's like, if we run into trouble, that's why we have Rook with us, and all this kind of stuff.
Rook whispers on the neck again.
Yeah. When they land, like, Thrawn's looking out the window saying, oh yes, there's 3 different types of architecture here, and Pelion's like, I'm more concerned about the life forms in those buildings that might be hostile towards us. But of course, Thrawn just like walks off the ship like nothing, and the place they've landed in the town square of this like city, but it's like almost like medieval city, because when they scanned the planet, it just revealed like sort of bow and arrow level technology. So it's a very sort of rudimentary kind of place, and when they step out, there's no one about. So Thrawn pulls out this megaphone disc and starts like saying to the people, we're here to meet with the Guardian of the Mountain. Who will take us to meet the Guardian of the Mountain? All this kind of stuff, and he gets no answer.
Out of nowhere! An arrow just shoots at him, strikes him on the shoulder.
Yeah. It bounces off. He's got like body armor underneath his white admiral like uniform, and it just bounces off him. So he's not actually hurt. But then Rook jumps to his side, and Thrawn sort of like says, someone has just attacked us. Now witness the consequences. And he just like nods to Rook, and Rook demolishes the building that the arrow came from just by like shooting it with laser blasts. So then Thrawn's like, now, will anyone take us to the Guardian of the Mountain? And from like behind them, they hear this voice saying, I will. And they all like spin round, and there's this like sort of old man standing there, and he's got like crazy hair and a long like wispy beard down to like his chest, and he's wearing like a brown robe.
Some call me Tim.
I don't get that reference.
Oh, you will. I'll put it in the video. It's right there.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
reference.
Yeah. So the city, it's like in the middle of a forest, and it's at the foot of a mountain, and it's this Mount Tantus that the storehouse that Thrawn has been looking for is in. So they're expecting that this old man is going to lead them up the mountain into the storehouse to where the Guardian is, but instead he leads them like across the square into the biggest building in like the city, and it's described as like a palace, and they walk in, they're chatting a wee bit back and forth, and as they enter into like the inner chamber of this building, they realise there's actually a crypt, because the only thing in this chamber is like a big stone rectangular block in the centre, and then there's like hundreds of candles like around the room, and the old man basically says, yes, the Guardian is dead, and I killed him. As I kill you now, and then he like, did I say already turns around?
He turns around menacingly.
Yes, he turns around, and then turns around again, and turns a third time.
With a bit of flash.
Yeah.
So he makes 3 lefts. He turns right.
So he turns round and shoots lightning out of his hands, like force lightning at the 3 of them, and the lightning like stops about a meter in front of the group. So Pelion, he's like kind of caught off guard, and he doesn't even like properly react. He like, it's only after the lightning stops that he actually pulls his blaster and goes to shoot. The old man But Thrawn, tells him no.
The best and brightest.
Yeah.
The reaction speed of a potato.
Absolutely. So, Thrawn sort of waves him off and says, don't do anything. And the old man, he's clearly, he's getting annoyed. So he, tries to shoot them with lightning again, and it doesn't work. The same thing happens. It dissipates a meter in front of them. And then Thrawn tries to talk to him. And the guy's like, no, shut up. And lightning them's like, I serve no emperor, I think is what he says, and shoots them again with lightning a third time, and it doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, the old man's mood just changes, and he's like, how are you doing this? You're not Jedi.
Thrawn leans forward and says, I am all the Jedi. Ignites his second lightsaber and then blows C'BAOTH away into his scented candles.
That's not how the Force works. I wasn't even going to go into this, but seriously, Palpatine can shoot enough Force lightning into the sky to bring down the entire Resistance fleet that's flying about above him. But then when he shoots Rey with lightning, it does nothing? What?
It's science.
It's... what?
It's like whenever you punch something rubber, you then punch yourself, your fist bounces off whatever the rubber thing is, and then hits you with double the damage.
No, I'm just meaning, how is Rey able to stand in front of that?
Rey's made out of rubber. it's like LEG. I got rubber soled shoes in it.
We won't get fried as long as the chain don't break, because we're all wearing rubber sole trainers, innit? Trust me, man, I got a D in physics,
Wicked.
Anyway, the old man's mood just completely changes, and he's like, how are you doing this? You're not Jedi. And Thrawn says, well, if you join us, I'll tell you. And the old guy is like, no, I'm a Jedi Master, I don't join anyone. So Thrawn immediately, without missing a beat, he's just like, well, allow us to join you then, and we will show you the thing. And
Thrawn's definitely, he's the talkie character in the D&D campaign. He's just looking at all angles.
Yeah. So he's you then, basically?
Yes. I wish.
Yeah. Well, we both know you don't fight your way out of any situation, so...
You can imagine what's going through, C'BAOTH, kind of what's in his mind at the moment. Because he's looking at these three fabulous strangers, all with, random lizards just draped over them, and they're just all invincible at this point.
Yeah. The old man's like, okay, let's go talk. So they go back outside the crypt, and they step outside back into the square, and they're all townspeople have come out and sort of congregated around that area, but there's one man who's standing directly in their way with fury in his eyes, and the old man's like, this is the man whose house you destroyed. He's probably quite annoyed. and as he's saying that, the guy tries to shoot Thrawn, but the crossbow bolt stops in midair, and JORUUS has caught it with the Force, and he's like, these people are my guests. They will be treated as such, and just crumples the crossbow bolt using the Force. And about a second after, Thrawn nods to Rook, and Rook tries to shoot the guy that just fired the crossbow bolt. And then JORUUS pulls up a stone and throws it in the way of the blaster bolt so it doesn't hit the guy. And JORUUS and Thrawn have a standoff, with JORUUS saying, these are my people. If they are to be punished, it will be me who does it, not you, this kind of thing. So they have a bit of a standoff, but Thrawn sort of reins in his emotions and agrees, and is like, okay, fair enough. So they continue on, they go into another, house, and they all sit down, and JORUUS is like, so tell me, how did you stop my powers? And Thrawn's like, well, now, I'll tell you in a minute, but let me tell you about this deal. And then JORUUS interrupts and said, you will tell me now how you deflected my Force lightning. So Thrawn then, as you said, he explains about the Ysalamiri on their back. I actually found out it's not Ysalamiri. There's no I on the end.
Okay.
I've been literally years, I've been pronouncing it in my head.
Me too. I'd be pronouncing it like that too.
It's probably because I said it and he just agreed with me.
No, even written down. I think it's
I think
it's because of calamari, Mon calamari.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I might have called it in the previous
Oh yeah,
episodes.
definitely.
Ysalamiri, but no, it's Ysalamir. We're not going to edit that. But yeah, so Thrawn says, yes, it's the Ysalamir, these lizards on our backs. They have a strange ability to repulse the Force. They basically create like a bubble around themselves. So Thrawn explains it like that to Joruus. And then Thrawn's like, now onto our reason for coming here. Basically Thrawn says that he's looking for the storehouse in the mountain, because in the storehouse there's meant to be like cloaking technology that the Emperor was supposed to like put away for like safekeeping, and some other like random bits of technology in case the worst happened, that the Emperor would always have these handy bits of technology about. So that's why Thrawn has like come all this way to the mountain. But as well as that, Thrawn also wants a powerful Jedi Master like Joruus. And when Joruus asks, you know, why do you need me if you can just walk into the mountain? Like, what do you need me for? And Thrawn then goes on to explain about the Battle of Endor, how an Imperial force that outnumbered the rebels 10-1 was able to be like so easily defeated. And at this point, Pelion starts to get a bit like flustered. It kind of implies in the book that Pelion's maybe had this discussion with Thrawn before, or something similar has come up at some point, because Pelion seems to know where he's going with this and gets a bit kind of annoyed. But basically Thrawn says like the reason that the Imperial fleet like became so inefficient during the fight at the Battle of Endor and basically lost like their fighting spirit was because the Emperor was killed. And Pelion's like trying to defend himself because he was there and was like, no, like the Emperor wasn't commanding the battle and we were fighting them ourselves and stuff. And Thrawn says, yes, you'd continued to fight them even after the Emperor was killed, but you fought like cadets. And it was just like...
Pelion thinks back to 3.5 minutes ago when he spent that same amount of time thinking about whether he should pull his gun out of its holster or not while he's being electrocuted.
I know, yeah. Exactly. And so the implication that Thrawn is making is that the Emperor was like basically galvanizing all the troops using the Force. He was like making them more efficient, giving them more courage and making them fight harder and stuff. And so without that presence, it meant that even though they outnumbered the rebels, they were still decimated in the Battle of Endor. And so that's why Thrawn wants a Jedi Master like Joruus to do that. That's why Thrawn wants Joruus. And so he offers Joruus as much power as he wants, as much control as he wants. And Joruus is like, no, I'm good. Like, I have all I want here, you know. Why would I want to rule over countless star systems that I'm never going to visit again? You know, what's the point in that? It's not true power. Like, true power is what I have here. I know these people. I know them individually. I control their lives. I teach them. I punish them. I have as much power as I could want here.
I have several hundred scented candles.
Yeah. Yes, I have all the scented candles that I could want. And so the conversation kind of goes back and forth a bit between him and Thrawn for a wee while. And then Thrawn finally hits a nerve whenever he asks about any Jedi apprentices that Joruus has. And it turns out that Joruus has no Force-sensitive like apprentices in this place. So Thrawn says, well, I've heard of 2 Jedi that have arisen recently within the past 5 years. And there's 2 more on the way, yet to be born. The twins that Princess Leia is currently carrying. So basically, Thrawn promises to get the twins for Joruus so that he can raise them from they're born as apprentices. And that's what eventually swings Joruus to come on and like join forces with Thrawn. So then it skips a few hours later and Pelion and Thrawn are back on the Star Destroyer Chimera. And they're talking, and Pelion basically is saying, you know, I don't think Joruus...
He's not quite all there.
Yeah. he tries to put it delicately, and Thrawn's just straight up, yeah, oh yeah, he's insane. In fact, he's more than insane. He's not the real JORUUS C'BAOTH. I would know, because I killed the real JORUUS C'BAOTH. He was on the outbound flight project, and I was sent to destroy that ship. So this JORUUS C'BAOTH is most likely a clone. And so Pelion's like, well, if you know he's like unstable, then why are we trusting him? And Thrawn's answer, and like the end of this chapter basically, is Thrawn saying, well, there's always risk in war. Using Jorus, it is a risk, but it's a calculated risk, and that's basically where
It's
the
like
chapter
pans
ends.
out. Wah! Hoo! Yeah! What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Sing it again now.
Yes. This week we have another example of names that cannot be pronounced by people. JORUUS C'BAOTH.
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 It's C'BAOTH.
C'BAOTH.
It's quite clearly C'BAOTH. Which sounds better?
Yes.
C'BAOTH.
Yes, help us decide in the comments.
Yeah. Oh yeah, people can respond to our ramblings. I forgot about that.
Right.
So yeah, let us know in the comments. Is it Darren's stupid C'BAOTH? Or is it my awesome C'BAOTH? So that about wraps up this video. Don't forget to subscribe, share and like. Yeah, I said it. In a weird order. Does it feel weird? Huh? I can see you're cringing there, Darren.
Even behind the pop.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes.